All right, so here it is, Factory 5 GTM, up for sale. It's a first day order, chassis number 22. Body really had zero work done to it, but I do have all the pieces. There's the rear deck lid, you already saw the nose, that's there. Come around this side, up the side. Driver's side door, glass, and the inside, if you will, the brace. Passenger side door, glass and brace. The diffuser. That's all the body parts, so it's all there. All right, so I pulled the body off the car to do a couple of walk-arounds and talk about some of the stuff in the car, things that you should know about and would want to know. First off, there's a lot of surface rust on the car, I'm sure you can see. That's mostly where I removed the powder coating for any number of reasons. So there is some corrosion. Excuse me, the car probably really needs to be stripped and either sandblasted, media blasted, or sanded, something along those lines, and then repainted or repowder coated. So keep that in mind. Also, the original wiring that's all here from the painless system, if I were you, I'd rip all that out and get a new painless harness and install it. They're not terribly expensive, but a couple of $200-300. Better off starting with no corrosion anywhere. As far as these panels go, the powder coated panels suffer pretty bad. You can see it here. You might be able to blast these and repaint them, or these are either flat or just like one bend in them. They would be very easy to remake with just a small aluminum brake. You can see these are all pretty good over here. There's no real issue here. A little bit here, but that's not too big of a deal. Couple things up here. MR2 power steering pump, which is electric. There's also a little electronic board that controls the amount of power assist based on speed of the car. It's got a power steering rack. I do have the manual steering rack that'll come with the car if you want to pull all that out, which you can. The master cylinder section is fine. You might want to replace. I've got a lot of the brake cables run. You can see them in there, but you might want to redo those. They would look a lot prettier. Suspension is relatively straightforward. A couple of things. Obviously, fully adjustable upper control arm that I made. If you wanted to, I'm going to ship it with the original C5 upper control arm. So you could cut these tabs off, put some new tabs on, and you could put the C5 control arms back on. Also, I've installed a sway bar. You can see it here. This is a Speedway spline sway bar, not terribly stiff, but it fits and it doesn't bind or anything like that, so it's good. Calipers were rebuilt and powder coated. Rotors were new, but they've got a lot of surface rust. You might be able to turn these, but to buy new ones is not terribly expensive. Again, the panels here are in pretty good shape. It's just these that are kind of bad. I think that's it for up here. On the inside, you can see the aluminum panels are all in pretty good shape. The footwell one in there is a little corroded. Gas pedal will not be coming with the car. That's part of the motor assembly. But the tunnel panels and the rear panel back here, I did replace this panel. It doesn't have a window anymore. Also made this up here. This is an overhead console, if you will. I wanted to put the radio controls and some latching switches and momentary switches up on either side for different things. The problem is when you're strapped in the seat, you can't reach the dash. You can reach this easily. Again, a custom dash. There's a little glove box roughed in over there. Coming back here, I added this plate for the gas fill, and you'll notice these gas tanks, well, they're not really tanks, they're shells. I had those made, and I wanted to put a fuel bladder inside. Never got around to that. you could come back and put the C5 tanks back in. Rear suspension, same as the front. These do have the Coney black shocks. I swapped a guy for a pair of my yellows for a pair of his blacks. So those are there. They look a little better than the front ones, although the spring's a little rusted. Back here, again, the motor doesn't come with the car. G50, 5-speed, factory LSD. I made a cable shifter for it. It also comes with a new clutch. The half shafts are all there, and the CV joints, new CV joints, all that stuff, that's all there. Kennedy adapter will obviously come with it. I also opted to put in this X brace that starts back here, goes across, and then comes up to the A-pillars. There was a guy that was part of the form that did the finite element analysis on it and strengthened the chassis appreciably. What it does do is make it a little more difficult to get the motor out. So I made this X brace. You can see it here. These are removable with these screws. So that comes out. Over on this side, just kind of more the same. Oh, down here, that rounded piece of panel there, the blowers behind that for the air conditioning system. That's a vintage air unit that's up. The evaporator is here. You can see it down in here. This is the vent, if you will, that hooks to the blower in the footwell. You can see the vents that hook in for the air conditioning, so that's all there. Again, these panels look pretty good here. Again, some surface rust across the bottom there, but it's all harness bar, right? I made these aluminum seats because I didn't like the fiberglass ones. I've got a 5-point harness that goes in it. There's grommets that go here. Also, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Let me pull this out. Sorta. You can see the linear actuator here. That's made for the e-brake. Instead of using the handle, you would use what would amount to a window switch to engage the e-brake. So that's it too. I'm not sure there's anything else to tell you. You can see the surface rust. These are the panels, again, that should go down to these tanks here. Lots of surface rust. Needs to be blasted and painted, but the chassis is solid. There's nothing wrong with it. I assure you, there's nothing wrong with it. So that's it. Okay, so everybody asked, do you have the glass? You saw the door glass already, so here's the other two pieces. This is the rear hatch, this big piece out front. You can see that's in good shape, no issues with it, right? Everything looks okay. And then more importantly, there's the front windshield. Everything looks good. I'm not sure exactly how this should be moved. I'd almost think that to move it correctly or safely would be to put it in the car and tape it in place really well. I think that's what I'd be inclined to do, but your mileage may vary. Okay, that's it. Okay, so for rims and tires, there's a set of C5s. Factory rims on the car with tires on it, so it can be rolled around. There's also a set, or multiple, 6 C6 replicas. The 4 in the front are 18-inch with 8.5 width and 9.5 width. The rears are 19 by 12s with 345 Nitto Imbos on there. The Nitto Imbos that I have, which are those and those on the back, those are 275 18s. They're old build date. They'd be good for building the car, but I wouldn't want to go fast on them. And as far as these reproductions go, the chrome on them is pitting a bit, so you know, got to take it with a grain of salt. You may want to, you could keep them, or you may want to replace them with something else. So that's it. All right, here's another batch. This is all the inside stuff that I have. The Factory 5 assembly manual. This one's important, the certificate of origin. This is the bling pieces that go on the car if you so desire. This is a pile of receipts and documentations that I have. The instructions for the car alarm, installation instructions for the JVC double DIN if you so inclined, the AC controls. It's just a whole pile of stuff. Also here, this is the receipt from when I bought the transaxle. Turns out it's a 91 G5002 5-speed with limited slip. Got a good price on it. Couldn't buy one for now for that. Of course, this was 2006, so I'll let you do the math on that. Just more, this is all factory 5 stuff. It's all the parts lists and all the stuff that came with it. I have this box for the painless harmless in the house. If I were you, I would just do the amount of time that's been sitting in the chassis. I would start over with that. No need to have any corrosion. Last couple of things. One is the GTM model. I'm going to throw that in as well. I don't know if you can still even get those at this point. And I have all the C5 service manuals too. That'll go with it. Okay, so this is all the headlights and tail lights. We've got the 2 headlight buckets, the covers for the headlight buckets. These are the front lights. You'll notice too that the headlights buckets support 3 each, so that's 6, plus there's 2 fog lights. That's what we have here. These are turn signals, headlights, fog lights. That's everything there. Here are the rear tail lights. There's 4 of those. 2 stop ones, and these are the, I think, the turn signal ones. So that's everything there. Here's the next batch. Washer fluid reservoir. This is the C5 overflow tank here. These are the hoses for the gas fill caps that go to the tanks. This is hot water tubing for the radiator cooling system. All of this is all weather stripping. There's a whole bunch of different stuff here. But this is all the weather stripping that was provided. And then inside here is a bunch of other stuff. This is mostly hard lines that I created for the cooling system. There's a whole bunch of them in here. There's the original flex tubing that Factory 5 provided. The couplers are all here. And there's some of the original carpet down in there too. But again, that's all. This is all the cooling tubes. Now I will say there's 2 large cooling tubes that run down the main section of the chassis that I'll show in another video that all this should connect to. All right, so these are the half shafts. These are the Corvette half shafts, the C5 Corvettes. What you're going to need is this piece here. This is the one that goes through the upright and bolts to the hub. These are the Factory 5 half shafts that they supply. I got new Porsche CV joints here and here. And then this is the boot kit for the Porsche, which is the boot and the grease. And I also got the Corvette boot and grease here, 2 of those. So that's everything you should need for the half shaft. Here's the next round. This is the manual e-brake. There's 2 separate cables that go to each of the corners, the rear corners, and then the e-brake handle. I actually have a linear actuator in the car with custom cables, local cables, but this comes with it as well. The speedometer gear, this goes on the side of the transaxle. There's a reader that will read the little notches so it knows how fast you're going. These are the C5 hinges for the front hood, C5 mirrors, interior door handles. This is latches. I think this is the rear latch. Door latches. This is for the rear latch. Hydraulic hinges, or hydraulics for the rear. This is the door hinge hardware and the door hinge plates and the hardware that go with it and battery cables. So that's everything in this group. Okay, here's the next batch. This is mostly interior stuff. So start with all this stuff here. These are an assortment of AC vents, different styles and shapes. Collected. I actually like these real well and these, but there's these and some others, and these are for the billet ones. Actually, here, let me pull these over. These actually go with these. These are the billet ones from Hot Rod Air, and you'll see pictures of those in the dash. There's hose. These are the vents that go, the defroster vents that I made. There's some bits and pieces, hazard lights. This is another little thing here. These are the original autometer gauges that were supplied. I will say that I cut that one up and put it back together, kind of, so it's a little dinged up on the bottom, but not too bad. This is the rest of the hardware to install them. Billet AC hot rod air switch. I think I've talked about this before. There's a little electronics board in here that is the controller for the MR2 power steering. The car has a power steering unit, and this will vary the amount of assist based on speed of the car. So that's that one's mission in life. This is a double den JVC unit that came out of a C5 Corvette that I bought. Originally had plans of putting this in the car, but I kind of rethought that a little bit, but I'll include it. I have a full manual on it upstairs in the documentation, so installing it and wiring shouldn't be an issue. This was the system that I opted to think about more. This is a marine stereo that I can mount remotely and then control it with this little gauge, or this little control, which I wanted to put overhead in the cockpit. And along with that were all these switches, and they're a combination of latching switches and just instant on switches kind of thing. So, and I think I'll talk about that in the other video. Viper car alarm, documentation's in the pile with that. This is the rear camera. Made this little fiberglass thing to go on top on the back side of the roof. I think there's other pictures of it. This is a color monitor that I have built into the dash. There's more pictures of that inside the car. This is the original Factory 5 steering wheel. It's a little dirty, but it's never been used. It should clean right up. I think it'll be just fine. Last but not least, this is a set of speed hut gauges that I've been using in the car, or was building the car around. I'm not 100% sure these are going to be included in the sale at this point, but I'll show them to you just in case I decide not to use them for what I'm thinking about. So that's it for this one. And here's the next batch. This is kind of a hodgepodge of stuff. First thing, these are the upper control arms, the C5 front upper control arms. I replaced these with the ones I built, but you could certainly go back to those if you wanted. These are the quarter windows for behind the doors. This is a pair of 5-point harnesses. The dates on them are old at this point, but they've never been used. Hell, they've barely even seen sunlight. These are the grommets for the seat for the harness to go through. This is a skid system. This was produced by a guy, one of the early builders. He built one for his car and made a few extra sets, and I bought one. What it does is it bolts to the frame rails on the bottom side of the car and protects all the panels, if you will. So if you go over a speed bump, it's going to hit this, not the frame rails, or the panels on the frame rails. So that's all that. Windshield wiper, motor plate. This is the arm and stuff, and a wiper itself. So that's it for this group. Okay, I'm not sure how to classify this. This is just a box full of miscellaneous GTM parts. Just, you know, small bags of bolts, and, you know, there's brackets here for different things. I couldn't tell you what these are off the top of my head. I'd have to go back to the build manual. These two are important. This is for the wiper. I can tell you what this is. This is for the manual e-brake, where the single cable comes in for the from the handbrake, and the two cables go out to the rear brakes, the emergency brakes. Miscellaneous brackets from factory 5. There. You know, some bolts, more brackets, exhaust fan gaskets, and some more stuff here. I'm just going to pile this all back in this box, and that'll be shipped to you as well. All right, here's the next batch. Some brake parts. The calipers were rebuilt and powder coated. The rears are mounted on the car. The calipers are mounted on the car with the pads. The fronts are mounted on the car without the pads. So here's the pads. They are new. You can tell by the thickness. They got a little surface rust on them, but I'm sure they're fine. This is the rest of the hardware for the caliper, the springs and the clips and all the bits and pieces. Cooling ducts for the front. If you so desire, stainless steel lines, braided. Miscellaneous metal lines for brakes and or fluids, fuel. This one's important. This is the flywheel. You see the ring gear with the teeth right there. I don't even want to unwrap it. There's no rust on it. It's in good shape. I don't want, like I said, I don't want to unwrap it. It's been in there for a long time, and it's staying just nice. Brand new clutch, Sachs clutch. Here's the thing. I got it from Pelican Parts, the Porsche parts dealer, if you will. So the clutch and the pressure plate, the throwout bearing, all the bits and pieces. This also kind of goes with it too. This goes in the transmission. This will hold. This is the actuator, if you will, for the throwout bearing, and that's the shaft it rides on. So that's new. Interestingly enough, I came across two slave cylinders for the transmission clutch. This one I bought. I guess this one came with the kit, so you have a choice there. A couple of hoses for the slave cylinder. So that's it for this much. Okay, in this box, this is all the AC adapters and fittings, right? And some AC hose. And oh, trinary switch. Yeah, you need that too. So that's the AC stuff in this box. Okay, let's talk about panels. First, door panels. Here's the Factory 5 door panels. They're super dirty, but they seem to be in pretty good shape overall. I was actually planning on modifying these quite a bit, but you know, your mileage may vary. As far as all the aluminum panels, they're pretty much in these two containers right here. This is the larger of the two. There's just a ton of stuff in here. You know, and they're oddball size of panels, and small ones and big ones. And then there's another one over here with all these in it. You can see all those. The only one I couldn't fit is this one. This is for the front by the radiator. As far as I know, there's only two panels missing, and those are the ones that go on top of the gas tanks back in the motor compartment. They were a big L-shaped panel that kind of shielded the gas tank. I cut those up because I was going to do something different. Other than that, everything should be here. And another thought on the panels. The ones that are mounted to the car that were powder coated seem to be suffering from some corrosion. The ones inside the car that are just naked aluminum, if you will, seem to be okay. They had some oxidation on them, but I cleaned it off with a aluminum brightener, and they seem to be fine. So something to keep in mind. Again, you could remake those corroded panels pretty easily, or scuff them hard and repaint them. All right, so last but not least, how much stuff is there and how difficult would it be to transport? So let's, just kind of go through the list. You can see the 8 totes there. That's all the small bits and pieces that I had laid out on the table and kind of went through with every one. Besides the tires on the car, there'll be 6 extra rims. The tires you see here will probably be gone, so 4 of the rims won't have any tires, but then the 2 in the back, the 12-inch wides with the 345s, I'll leave those on for you. Unless, of course, you don't want any of that stuff, then I can get rid of it. You'll also have these boxes of the aluminum panels and the door panels. Some oddball pieces here because they're kind of big, half shafts and some windshield wiper stuff. Additional stuff is there's a manual power steering rack, the doors, and then the door supports that go on the inside. There's a video earlier of those metal pieces, 4 pieces of glass, 2 exhaust systems, the radiator and condenser, and I think that covers everything. So an enclosed trailer would obviously be the best. You could probably do it on an open trailer. I don't know if you'd have to pallet wrap the car or something like that because nothing's bolted down. Obviously you couldn't go down the freeway with nothing bolted down, but it'd be doable. But an enclosed trailer would be best. So that's it. Thanks.